What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture, and today we have the last video in this 4-video series of the top 20 modern comics to invest in right now, and we will be counting down 5 through 1. I am super excited to get to these next 5 books. Before we talk about the books, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please take some time to do so. Check out all the awesome links below, including how you can become a Patreon member of the channel for only $3.99 a month. And you can also become a YouTube member of the channel for only $1.99 a month. Both memberships will get you awesome extra perks. You can also check out my official Journals Comics merch website link below, where you can rock some awesome gear and help support the channel. And of course, if you aren't subscribed to our Comic Book Canon YouTube channel yet, what are you guys waiting for? That link is below. We have our live shows every Friday night. And I also want to give a big thank you out to today's sponsor, the OTIS app. So we're going to talk about a few books, and then we're going to take a couple of minutes to discuss a little bit about the OTIS app, because I highly recommend you guys check it out. But for right now, let's start counting down the top 5 books on this list. Starting off with number 5, Invincible Iron Man. Number 9, first full appearance of Riri Williams. What can I say? What can I say? Now, if you guys have not watched the other few videos in this video series, this is how we do it. We look at each book. We look at the current CGC 9.8 fair market value. We look at the latest high raw sale. And then we go to another image where I give you an in-depth look in chart diagram of what the book has been doing on the market over the last 5 years. So right now, this book in a CGC 9.8 fair market value, it's sitting at about $486. All right, now let me discuss fair market value, as I always do. Fair market value is still a rough average, right? So this is an average of what the book has been selling like so far this year. We're about 4 months into the year. It's definitely only a sample size, but I know that the sales of this book in a CGC 9.8 have broke the $700 mark as of the last couple of weeks of April. So although the fair market value is still sitting right under 500, like I tell you, fair market value could change day to day, week to week, could change overnight. So especially with the fire that's under this book. I mean, look at this. High raw sales already hitting $300. That is absolutely amazing. So let's go into looking at what this book has done on the market over the last 5 years, going back to 2017. Now, this book came out in 2016, so you didn't have too many on the market back then, but $76 fair market value, right? But look, this character was already a popular character. We saw this value bump up in 2018 to $234. Really solid. It took a little bit of a dip in 2019, sitting at around $203. Still a really good price for a modern book. But then in 2020, we saw it jump up again to $307. Now, again, you know, when you look at fair market value for a year, for a 12-month period, the fair market value for the first half of that year was much different than what it was selling for in the later half of that year, because it was gradually increasing. Still, you know, we got the news of the Ironheart series in 2020 somewhere. I forget exactly where. I think it was somewhere around summer, mid 2020. So yeah, but look at what it's doing now. 2021, like I said, sitting at $486, and a couple of sales broke the $700 mark. I look for this book to continue to be on an upward trend. We know the show's coming. We're going to get more announcements. We're going to get a trailer. And as always, when that trailer hits, watch this book to continue to catch fire. All right, number 4 on the list is Young Avengers #1. Boy, is this book doing something. The first appearance of the Young Avengers team: Kate Bishop, Wiccan, Hulkling, Iron Lad, Patriot. Man, this book is getting talked about more and more. We see more evidence that the MCU is going to be setting up a Young Avengers. We know Kate Bishop is coming in the Hawkeye show, and this book since has just continued to catch fire. Now, similar situation here with the CGC fair market value 9.8. $892. I do believe that a 9.8 recently just broke over $1,000. Look at this high raw sale, $800. Wow. And I've heard I've had people ask me, because I talk about, a certain book being the modern day Hulk 181, and they're like, well, is this Young Avengers #1 like the modern day giant size X-Men #1? You can argue that. You can absolutely argue that. And if we see a Young Avengers property come to fruition from Marvel Studios, boy, I will tell you. I think it's inevitable. That's just my humble opinion. All right, let's look at what this book has done over the last 5 years. 2017. Boy. $62. It wasn't really doing much, was it? A nice jump in 2018 to 211. Another little jump to 254 in 2019. Another nice jump in 2020 to 309. But look at this. 2021, $892. And like I said, I think that it has to do with the simple fact of certain characters being introduced in the MCU or being put on the table, officially announced for the MCU. And again, this is another one. I mean, look, this, it could be a while before we actually see a Young Avengers debut, but because we're seeing certain characters show up individually, I think that's going to keep eyes on this book, and it's going to keep this book, healthy. But, if they show up and then, we don't have a team over the next couple of years, it could stagnate a little bit, but it's not going to stay. Like I say it before in almost all my videos. I talk about hot books and books to invest in and looking at what's going on in the market. I talk about thresholds. I believe with all my heart that this book will never be worth anywhere around that $309 fair market value that it was worth a year ago. So that's my argument, and I'm sticking to it, right? So, and like I say, guys, in every video, just because I'm talking about him, I'm not here to tell you what to invest in. I'm not here to buy him now before it's too late. I don't know what the future holds for these books, but I'm here to give you data, to give you facts, and then to give you my opinion. Invest in what you love, understand the risk and everything that you put money into and all the decisions that you make. Just make sure you make sound decisions and smart decisions, and make sure that you can live with the choices and the decisions that you make. All right. We have the top 3 books. This was a 20-book countdown. It's been so much fun. But before we go into these 3 books, I once again have to give a big shout out to the OTIS app for sponsoring this video today. And I want to take just 2 minutes to talk about the OTIS app.
What is OTIS? OTIS is an alternative investment platform that makes it possible for almost anyone like you and I to invest in shares of cultural assets. You can buy and sell shares of rare and high-priced collectibles, sneakers, art, and yes, you guessed it, comic books. Of course, that's why I'm here. So how it works, guys, it's really easy to use. All you have to do is download the app from either Apple or the Android Play Store. Sign up for free. You can follow weekly drops. You can buy shares of the latest drops directly from OTIS or buy shares from past drops from other OTIS members. You can then earn potential return by selling your shares to other OTIS members, or if OTIS sells the underlying asset, say, for example, a comic book that you have, assets in, and at that price at which you bought the shares, if the shares are more valuable, you earn a return. So we're looking at blue chip keys like giant size X-Men #1. You could get $29.50 per share for this book, guys. If you go through the details of each item, it shows, basically it gives you a history and breakdown of the current market value, high sales, low sales, even just historical reference of what the book means, right? Amazing Spider-Man, $129, $24 a share. You got Tomb of Dracula, #10, the first appearance of Blade, $20 a share. And again, it breaks it down. Recent sales, it gives any, if there's movie spec hype, it'll show recent news So for the first appearance of Blade, you got the Blade movie coming out, right? We know that's coming from the MCU. So guys, really, really recommend you guys checking out the OTIS app. Again, you can download it for free. And if you guys sign up for OTIS with the link that I have in the description below, guys, you can get your first share free. So I want to say again, thank you so much to OTIS for sponsoring this video.
All right, everyone. Again, a big, big thank you to OTIS app, but let's get right in to the top 3 books of modern comics to invest in. Number 3 is Star Wars, Heir to the Empire. Number 1. There's been a Star Wars book on this list, and I believe I said it when I talked about that Star Wars book. Star Wars Mania is absolutely real. This is the first appearance of Thrawn. We have hints at Thrawn showing up in a Star Wars property, most likely maybe on Disney Plus. So this book has absolutely taken off. Look at these numbers. Current CGC 9.8 fair market value, $1,426. Look at this high raw sale though. $1,000. Wow. Absolutely wow. Now, let's look at what this book has done over the last 5 years. Wow. 2017, I was almost speechless there. Did you catch it? 2017, $120. 2018, $146. Okay. 2019, $149. Hey, it's an increase. And then 2020, boom. Why? Mandalorian, Mention of Thrawn, up to that $636 mark. But look at what it's done since. It has more than doubled since to be sitting at that $1,426 mark. Wow, absolutely wow. Okay, so I got some viewers right now. It's market manipulation. It's a bubble that's going to crash. I'm going to discuss that, but I'm going to discuss it in a minute. Because before I discuss that, I want to talk about the number 2 book on this list. That's right. I'm going to talk about this book first. And then we're going to come back to this because the second book on this list is relevant as well. So let's just go right into it. The number 2 book is, that's right, another Star Wars book. Star Wars Clone Wars, number 1. The first appearance of Ahsoka Tano in comics. CGC 9.8 fair market value. You're not reading that wrong. $2,512. Look at this high raw sale. $2,398. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that there was a high CGC 9.8 sale that broke the $3,000 mark. And this is for the direct market. We're going to talk about the newsstand in a minute. So let's look at the 5-year trend, and I'm going to get back to what I was saying about the Thrawn's first appearance, okay? Because it definitely relates to both of these books and what's going on with Star Wars, okay? 5 years. So there was actually no sales data in 2017. It wasn't worth $0. People weren't giving it away for free, all right? 2018, it had a decent value sitting at 209. 2019, 295. Nice little increase. But boom, 2020. Oh my goodness. $1,490. And then 2021, boom! Add on another $1,000+ for that fair market value sitting at $2,512. All right, here's the thing. It's a bubble. It's going to crash, right? Look, you got to take in consideration for Star Wars books. We see a lot of books doing this right now, and I've talked about, there's variables due to COVID, but I've talked about, we're not going to blame people spending their stimulus checks or unemployment money. I do feel that that's extremely ignorant, to be quite honest. More importantly is that people that are already wealthy are not taking vacations, or we're getting back to that, but weren't taking vacations, weren't eating out, weren't going to the movie theaters, and they had a lot more money in their pocket, a lot more disposable income. So what are they doing? They're at home, they're on the internet, they're on eBay, there's no cons. There's a lot of money being put into comic books. That wasn't before. That's more factual and realistic than saying, people are just blowing their stimmy money. I'm not going to get into that any further, though. But here's the thing with Star Wars books specifically: the last 4 years, for the last almost 4 years, the Star Wars fandom has been extremely divided. All right. Mandalorian has done something. And look, actually, before I say that, Star Wars fandom has been divided for the last 22 years since George Lucas released the first prequel, The Phantom Menace. So, to be quite honest, this is decades building. The Mandalorian single handedly brought the fan base back together. And not only did it bring the fan base back in that collects comics, but it brought fan base of Star Wars that didn't really collect comics before to now look at comics. And a lot of that is attributed to the health of the comic book market now as well. And that's why these Star Wars books are unique to themselves and why they're increasing so much in value. You have this healing of a fan base, and they're going for these books right now. And that's why I say this is only the beginning. I think the future of Star Wars in general and all these Star Wars property is going to be an amazingly healthy one that's going to really keep this fan base yearning for more. And that's why I don't feel that these books, I don't feel that this is just a bubble and they're going to really cool off and dip some. I mean, look, if we don't see Thrawn anytime soon, that book could cool off a little bit, obviously. But Ahsoka, we know that she's coming. We know that her show is coming. And look, the only thing that's going to take this book down, in my opinion, is if it's a flop. But here's the other thing too, especially for this book, Star Wars Clone Wars #1. This book had a very, very low print run. Okay, I don't remember. Man, I did research on this, but I think the print one run was like under 40,000, maybe even closer to 20,000, if I can remember. And then don't even get started about the newsstand. All right, the newsstand was very, very limited, and it was such a small percentage. And this newsstand was only sold at places like Barnes and Nobles and Borders bookstores, where they were put on the newsstand rack like a magazine, where people would go in and flip through them and manhandle them. That's why when you look at a census, or what a popular consensus is for what a fair market value for a newsstand is, there's not one out there. There's not one out there because they're so rare. And once in a while, people will put a newsstand book on the market and they won't even know it's a newsstand, and maybe the buyers won't even know it's a newsstand. And if it's in the same grade as a direct, it's gonna if it's in the same grade or a certain grade, it's gonna sell for the same fair market value as a direct is. It's only when the seller notices and makes it clear that this is a newsstand edition that those books, those few that are on the market, boom. Back in August of last year, a newsstand beat up raw copy that was, I gave a rough estimate of a 4.0. It sold for over $700. And that's back when the 9.8 CGC, a direct edition was selling for like, 1,300. So it just goes to show you how rare that newsstand really is. I have one that has a couple of spine ticks. They're deep spine ticks, but other than that, it's amazing. And I think it could be anywhere from an 8.5 to maybe a 9.2 stretching it. And I remember it was in August, I was asking, what was I asking for? Like $550 for that book. And I had a person on Instagram that did live sales in the heat of this pandemic come at me and say, I'll give you 300. And he tried to give me a reason why it wasn't even worth that much. And I was like, nah, I'm good because I know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to buy it for 300, and at that time you're going to sell it for at least $500 on your IG live sales. I'm not stupid. So, I'm good. I'll hold on for it because right now, I guarantee you I could get way more than $1,000 for that book. But now I'm not selling it, so you missed your chance. $2,500 fair market value. I do believe record high. The CGC 9.8 broke 3K. So, man, look out for this book, guys. I can't wait for the Ahsoka show. All right, who is ready for the #1 book on this list? And look, I like to surprise folks. I really do. I like to talk about books that are off of other people's radar. I don't want to regurgitate stuff that the next YouTube person is talking about. And if you all watch my channel, you probably noticed that. I bring up books and I bring data I feel in a way that no one else is doing. But this next book, this number one book on this list, it might not be a mystery to you all, but guess what? It's the only book deserving to be number one on the top 20 modern key comics to invest in right now. And that is none other than Ultimate Fallout 4, the first appearance of Miles Morales. Yes, yes, yes. You guessed it. I'm sure you all did. Maybe a few of you didn't. First appearance of Miles Morales. We're looking at a CGC 9.8 fair market value right now of about $2,600 to $33. But like I said, okay, so this book recently is breaking way over that 3,000 mark. I had somebody in a comic book Facebook group about a month ago come and say the market has capped, or the market has peaked. And I'm like, okay, well, first off, the market is thousands of books, thousands of books, and they all don't, go up and go down at the same time, right? But it was funny because we were talking about this book in the comments, and at that book, I think the highest sale of a Ultimate Fallout 4 was like 2,900. And right when he posted it hit 3,100, and then 4 days later, it hit 3,500. I think it was 3,510 exact to be exact, or something like that. And I went in back and commented on it. Said, "Well, how's that cap doing? How's that cap on the market?" Since then, the book has sold for, there's been a couple that have sold for like 3,100 and 3,200. But again, this fair market value is an average of what it's been doing since January. So I think it's going to be really tough to find this book in a CGC 9.8 for under 3K right now. That's how amazing this book is doing. And I talked about it. I did my little video with the clippets of me showing what I thought this book was going to do. I was talking about it last like April, before the announcement of the video game in Into the Spider-Verse 2, how this book is just going to keep on rising, and people were laughing at me. They were laughing at me. And then it hit $1,000. Then I said this book is going to keep on rising. And then they were laughing at me. There's no way this book is worth $1,000. It's going to be back down to like 200 or 300 in a month. And here we are, and look at what it's doing. So look at this high Ross sale. High Ross sale, $2,752. I think that was in the first week of April. Absolutely blowing my mind. But guess what? Guess what? Well deserved. Well deserved. Miles Morales here to stay. And that's right. I said it. I said it a million times. And I'll say it again a million times more. Ultimate Fallout 4 is indeed the modern Hulk 181. If you want to argue with me, I'll go to war. We'll take it. Well, I will argue it all day, every day. And again, don't get it twisted when I say this. I'm not saying it's ever going to be worth what Hulk 181 is worth, but what I'm saying, it is this generation's Hulk 181. It is that book of this generation. And it's going to be that way for the next 20 years until, we get into a new generation where, another book might pop up and then define that generation or that age of comic books. But let's look at what this book has done over the last 5 years. Miles Morales. 2017, $234. That means that people were looking at this book back then and saying, I care about this character. I care about this character. $234 for a modern book is not, cheap talk. That's solid money. All right. But we get an increase up to 307, 2018, and in 2019, 348. We had the Into the Spider-Verse film that was a success. And, that helped boost it up. And then, boom, we know what happened in 2020. Fair market value, 1,028 across the year. Again, I just talked about it briefly about what the book did and my thoughts on it. But then, boom, we look at where it's at now, $2,633. Record sales breaking over 3K. week after week now over the last few weeks. So this book is still doing its thing. Oh my goodness. Wait until we get a trailer for Into the Spider-Verse 2. Wow. And then, oh my goodness, wait a few years down the line or whenever we're going to get a Miles Morales in the MCU, because guess what? It's going to happen. I think I said about 6 or 7 years, about a year ago, which would be about 5 or 6 years now. But hey, man, I mean, I'm optimistic to 3 to 5 even now, to be quite honest. But I still think that Sony is going to play out their Into the Spider-Verse first. I think we're going to get at least 3 films. I think we're going to get an Into the Spider-Verse trilogy. I think we're going to let Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker age a bit more. We already know that the next Peter Parker trilogy for the MCU and Sony is in the works and is going to happen. We know it's going to be a more dark, mature, gritty trilogy than the Homecoming trilogy. So, and that's going to be every other year, if I remember correctly. So, if the next one, so we got, Homesick coming out this year, 2021. That means the next one's going to come out 2023. That puts the last one in 2027. So that's 6 years away. Could we see a Miles Morales before then? Possibly, but I absolutely think it's inevitable. So you guys know I love talking about Ultimate Fallout 4. I don't even own one, so I don't have any vested interest for you guys to think that I'm just talking it up. I don't own a first print. I don't own a second print. I don't own the second print variant. Nope, nope, nope. But guess what? I love it. I love what this book is doing. So that is the list, everyone. The top 20 modern key comics to invest in right now. And like I always say, man, invest in what you love. Do your research. I hope you guys enjoyed going into this data thoroughly, looking at the next 5 years. I most likely will do another video series based on these numbers on these same books, but we're going to look at ROR, which is rate of return year after year. So we're gonna put them in order and count them down according to which books actually had the largest rate of returns on average year after year, and we'll see which ones end up on top. So before I end this video, I, as always, got to give a big shout out to all my members. That's my Patreon members and my YouTube channel members. First and foremost, my Patreon members, thank you all for your support month after month. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel for only $3.99, my patreon.com link is below. You can click the link and check out what kind of perks you get with that membership. Every penny that I get goes back into this channel. You get extra entries into all the contests that I do on YouTube. You get automatic entry into all the patron-only contests. You get exclusive patron-only videos, Q&A. So big shout out to each and every one of you. Marty, Tony T, Jesse, Larry, Serge, Michelle, Jacob, Tyler, Keith, Jeremy, Sean, Michael, Comic Spunk, Jeff, Tricky Clicky, Philly Born, Alvin, Fletch, Joshua, Pedro, Peter, Joe, Larissa, Sagi, Dan, Beechner, Simon. Appreciate you all. And then, of course, my YouTube channel members, a big shout out to you all. That's only $1.99 a month for you, for all of you that might want to help support the channel for only $1.99 a month. All you need to do is click that join button below. Again, you do get perks here. You get extra entries in all my YouTube contests. You get access to special emojis and commenting perks when you comment on my videos. And there's also other perks and exclusive content that will be rolling out for channel members as well. So appreciate all of you. Josh, Louis Logic, Arthur, Comic Toby, Charlie, Luis, Peter, Blackout Comics, B-Moy, Tony T, and Chris. Thank you all so much. So again, appreciate you all for joining me, watching this video series and countdown. If you haven't checked out the other 3 videos in the series, I highly recommend you go check them out. And again, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Help me out. Share this with your friends. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time.